forecast and for recent forecasts and for beyond. So we'll look into beyond what happens after this polar vortex intrusion. We may have another one coming in about a week's time, much smaller, but it's going to keep those overall temperatures pretty cold for the month of January, for the very end of the month. So tonight we're looking at some pretty cold temperatures, but not likely as cold as the night before. So we'll have a little bit of cloud cover. In fact, there's some snow showers starting to move into the northern part of Colorado right now, and that'll be part of the formula in keeping those temperatures from getting just too out of control. We're looking at still negatives, though. We're dropping into the negatives for much of us here on the Front Range, and then another cold morning on Tuesday before we say goodbye to this particular polar vortex intrusion or Arctic air cold front from the north. So let's take a look at some of what's going on right now. We have the cold weather alerts that are in place. We don't have anything snow related because we're not expecting a huge impact from the snow tonight, but we will see that, and it may be enough that we'll have to shovel our driveways again. But you see those cold air alerts. First, look at the light blue shaded areas, which does include Denver and much of the Front Range, a lot of the northeast plains. That's a cold weather advisory. So the temperatures are expected to be as low as negative 10 degrees. And even Denver does have that potential for tonight. It depends if the way that could happen is if the snow just kind of blasts through there really quick and we get a little bit of clearing in the skies. Could get down there into that negative 10 range again, but for right now our forecast is more in the -4 to -5 range, which is a little bit of a break. And those wind chills in that area could get as low as -25. The green shaded areas is an extreme cold watch, so we're watching for the potential of something extreme cold related here, with the temperatures getting well below zero and the wind chill temperatures getting into the -35 to -50 range, and that's going to be for your day on Monday into Tuesday morning. So this is an extended cold snap here going all the way through the morning hours on Tuesday. And you're looking out there in Yuma County right now, and there's an extreme cold warning in place there for Yuma County. So Yuma County is one of those counties that is actually handled by the National Weather Service in Goodland, Kansas, and they have already made the decision to put a warning in place for Yuma County and also a county in northwest Kansas as well. So that they'll make the decision on what to do with the extreme cold watch here shortly. It's either going to be an advisory or a warning coming up, but extreme cold temperatures will be possible in almost all of Colorado tomorrow morning, tomorrow evening, and then Tuesday morning once again. So we're almost there, but still have a lot of cold to go. Here's the forecast low temperatures for the state of Colorado and the rest of the region here, with those negative temperatures all across the northeast plains once again, and the mountains of course. But notice how they're not as extreme, and that is for two reasons. We're kind of in between surges of polar air, and also we're looking at a little bit of cloud cover, which is something we didn't have last night and is something we won't have next night, tomorrow night. So those are going to be the cold ones, colder ones. I'm going to say -4 is not really warmer, it's just less cold. So -4 is forecast for Denver, but the impacts will be those wind chill temperatures. So we could still see those -15 to -25 range in the wind chills. So that's when you factor in the wind with the cold and how it impacts your skin and your bare skin and your body. So you could get frostbite within 30 minutes of exposure to bare skin in these types of temperatures. And so that's really a short amount of time, because if you think about it, how often do you end up outside for more than 30 minutes? And these are, things it's hard to cover, like your nose and your ears and your hands. So you have to wear kind of like a mask if you're going to be extending your stay outside more than 30 minutes. So the wind chill temperatures could be pretty extreme again tomorrow morning, but most likely the next time we'll see these wind chill temperatures will be Tuesday morning. As you look at the wind chill forecast here going through tonight, so let me back that up to Sunday night at 9 p.m. You can see those wind chill temperatures across the Front Range here in the single digits in Denver, and some teens out there, -9 in Colorado Springs. The wind is expected to be just a little bit stronger in the southern Front Range and also the southeast plains, and that's why we're watching for the the extreme cold watch. Normally we would see just a wind chill warning in place, but the winds are not really strong with this polar vortex event. So what we're looking at are winds between about 5 and 10 miles per hour on the Front Range. And so that still gets your wind chill temperatures in that -20 to 30 range with as cold as the temperatures are. Normally on our polar vortex events, we have the temperatures down there near zero or maybe a couple of degrees above zero, but the winds are in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range, and that's another way that you can get those wind chill temperatures up there pretty high. And then Monday morning, these are the wind chills that are kind of forecasted. This is raw data coming from the computer forecast model, but it gives you a good idea what to expect, kind of those negative wind chill temperatures. So if we're at -4 in Denver and we have a 1 mile per hour breeze, then you get a wind chill of about -6. So that's kind of a scenario. But if the wind should kick up to say 10 miles per hour, then you get up there in the -22, -25 type wind chill range. And then kind of look up to the north there and to the northeast parts of Nebraska, the Nebraska Panhandle, and also parts of Wyoming. A little bit more focus there because the air will be colder and the winds will just be a little bit stronger. So the more impact for wind chill temperatures up in that area. So here's your forecast high temperatures for Monday, getting all the way up to about 10 degrees tomorrow here in the Denver metro area. And there's a good chance that the temperature doesn't even break the single digits tomorrow, because we will have a cold start to begin with, obviously in the negatives, but then we'll be, after the snow kind of clears out tomorrow morning, there will be that second push of Arctic air coming in. So remember how we talked about this during the week, that they'd come in two surges. The first surge is going to be done, and the snow tonight will be the front of the secondary surge. And once the snow goes through, the next pile of cold air is going to start streaming in, and so that is why you could keep these temperatures potentially down there pretty low. I think 23 and 24 would be an error. I think that should be 14 and 13 in Greeley and Fort Collins at most, because we're looking at some just barely breaking over the single digits tomorrow. Now take a look at the future cast for the snow event that we have tonight. It's going to just be a wave of snow for the most part coming from the north by 6 p.m. here. We do see this forming on radar, and it looks very weak on radar. And if it maintains that, we're going to barely get anything here in the Denver area. But if you look at the modeling, it shows that once that kind of comes down onto the center of the Front Range, or the I-70, I-25 junction here in Denver, that's when it kind of fills out and gets a little bit thicker. So we could see some accumulating snow here in the Denver area, probably enough to have to shovel your driveway again. But it's going to be that light Arctic champagne powder type of stuff that you can really just use a leaf blower to clear the snow out of your driveway. And then you can see the bulk of that snow will be gone by 6 a.m. So it'll be gone before sunrise. But after sunrise, we'll get a few hours of isolated flurries continuing. So we could even get whatever you end up with by the time the sun comes up is pretty much going to be the total snow, but the flurries will continue to add just a little bit of garbage statistics to that snow. But I think it'll be pretty much over by the time the sun comes up. And then, as you see here on the Futurecast computer model, by 7 p.m. we have complete clear skies across the Front Range at northeast Colorado, and that is going to be a huge factor in how cold we get on Tuesday morning, because we'll have that cold air still pressing in. Most of it will press in during the daylight hours on Monday, but it'll still be slightly still coming in from the north. And add in the clear skies, which you get radiational cooling, where the heat just escapes the earth into space, and it adds another several degrees of cooling to whatever the air temperature is. So we could easily get back into that -10 to -11 range for Tuesday morning. So back that up to the snow forecast here for tonight. It really looks like the potential here is a little less than 2 inches, so we'll call it a 1 to 2 inch type snow event here across the Front Range. Maybe a little bit more impactful in parts of the foothills, and if it does, it'll most likely be the Boulder County foothills that breaks over that 2 inches. So not a huge potential, just because of how fast moving that band is and how generally the character of that snowfall is going to be pretty light. So here's a look at the jet stream forecast, or basically your weather pattern. This is the upper air high above our heads. It kind of dictates the weather here down on the surface where we live. So you see the big giant blob in the middle of the country here, stemming from the Great Lakes all the way down to the south. That is the polar vortex event, or the Arctic cold front, that has been dominating everybody's weather here in the bulk of the United States. And then we have the high pressure out in the Pacific Ocean, which is helping pull that air down from the north. And as we go through the next 24 to 48 hours here, we'll see that start to move out, and by Tuesday morning that is gone. But that secondary push that comes around, which is the push that's coming around tonight, will impact the southern states. And then this one that you see here will be another little push of cold air that we will feel here in Denver. So we may warm up quite a bit on Tuesday, even significantly into the 40s, and then quickly back down on Thursday with some cooler air. And then the roller coaster continues. We're back up into the warmer temperatures on Friday before the next cold air comes in. So a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but overall pretty cold air. As we look at the polar vortex here on the modeling, you see it clear out there, and then a little bit of colder air, which could be extremely cold. Extremely cold to polar vortex type cold is the kind of way that we label these huge cold events lately. And so there's some pretty cold air still coming our way Wednesday night into Thursday, and then once that clears, we'll have one single warm day. So when you look at the stats here for this Arctic blast, we're going to end up, if it does warm up above freezing on Tuesday, which it does look like it will, we'll end up with about 92 consecutive hours below freezing. -11 is the lowest temperature we've seen so far, and that was this morning. -30 is the coldest wind chill we've seen so far, and that was this morning. 3 to 6 inches of snow. We're almost into that already. We've already seen 3 to 4 inches of snow, so if we get another inch or two here tonight, we'll be safely into that forecast range. So when you look at your 7-day forecast, we're clear of this system on Tuesday. And then we move into what would be generally a normal setup for January, with these temperatures just mostly slightly below normal, both the highs and the lows, except for your Friday. That will be the one day to enjoy before the next Arctic cold front moves in. for next weekend, and that one will likely close the month out on a cold note. So we're looking at a very cold average for January. Hopefully that helps you out with some of your planning, and I hope you do everything you can to stay warm tonight and have a great week. Cool.